Hey guys, this is Harry from ZeroFX, and in this video, I will break down my process of creating my Unreal Engine short film, Indian Samurai. So, ever since Epic Games announced their Metahuman technology for digital humans, I always wanted to use the technology and make my own short film. I also believe that game engines and real-time rendering is the future of filmmaking, be it for animated cinematics or for virtual production. So I wanted to test it out and make my own animated short film as a proof of concept that smaller teams or even a single guy like me can produce high quality animated short films. So that's the intention, proof of concept. When the movie team announced Project 2G starring my favorite star power star Pawan Kalyan garu, I got very excited. And when they showed a glimpse of screenplay draft on screen, I wanted to visualize that scene. But the visuals that I envisioned are so grand that I don't think I can actually attempt it at the moment. So I felt that it's better if I do something else before attempting that, and that's how Indian Samurai was born. I wrote the script in the notepad. I think it took me a whole day for this, as far as I remember. After I'm done with the script, I began storyboarding. I usually go with very rough drawings. If I can understand it, that's enough. No need for any professional art over here. Storyboarding for me is a very crucial step because this is where I decide the bulk of my short film. Like what we see on screen, shot division, cinematography, animations, everything. Basically, this is where I envision the entire short film in my mind even before creating a single shot of it. I started with sculpting Pawan Kalyan garu's face in Blender using several photograph references of the actor. Once I'm happy with the sculpt, I imported the face sculpt mesh into Unreal Engine and created a metahuman using mesh to metahuman method. However, I lost some facial features during this conversion, and that's the reason why Pawan Kalyan's face doesn't look very accurate. Then I went into Metahuman Creator Online, gave PK Metahuman some hair, moustache, and a beard. As you can see, the stock hair and the moustache doesn't match his likeness. So using a plugin called Groom to ABC, I imported the grooms into Blender, modified them to match his likeness, and re-exported them back into Unreal Engine. Once I completed PK Metahuman, I created the remaining characters using Metahuman Creator by modifying the default metahumans. For the goons, I went with the basic Dash 3D character and modeled a face mask inside Blender. Once the characters are done, I created all the required costumes inside Marvelous Designer. For creating Japanese clothes, I did some very basic research and created accordingly. I know that I need 3 environments for this short film: a hillside environment, a port area, and a dojo training room. So using landscape editor tool, Megascan assets, and free Sketchfab models, and also I modeled some assets, I started laying out and designing the environments. However, the major problem here is I am very much limited by my graphic card memory. I have only 4 GB of graphic card memory, and out of that, almost like 2 GB, like half of it will be used by Unreal Engine code itself. So whatever my project, I have to cram that into that remaining 2 GB of VRAM. So this means I cannot use high quality textures, high poly models, and also I have to use very limited number of assets. Majority of the project's working time went into this because I had to optimize everything, literally every single asset. Design shaders in such a way that I can use stylable textures and also reuse the same shader as material instances. I did all this to make sure that I won't overload my GPU and cause it to crash. So after several sleepless nights, I managed to finish all the required environments. So I designed the sets, I have my characters prepped, and now it's time for the animations. This process is straightforward. I acted out every single character and video recorded myself to use as reference. I used anything I can find in my house as prop. Yes, that is a toilet cleaning brush. Don't worry, it's brand new, never used before. Actually, that's the only thing I found in my house that matches the same thickness as a katana. Helps to do the moves. Once I have the references, I imported the references into Cascadier and did post-to-pose animation. This process took a lot of time. I know the animations still need a lot of cleanup, I agree, but because of the scale of the project, I had to compromise at some point, otherwise
I don't think I can ever release this project at any point of time.
So once the animations are done, I exported them out of Cascadier and imported them into Unreal Engine. Thanks to Cascadier, this process is hassle-free as all the animations are already targeted at Unreal's mannequin skeleton. For the Metahumans though, I retargeted the animations using the default retargeter. For the facial animation, I used LiveLink. So Epic Games released an app for iPhone called LiveLink Face, which lets you record your performance on iPhone and do face tracking and apply it to Metahumans. This only works with iPhones though because of its front-facing depth camera. So I acted out all the facial animations of all the characters and recorded it on my iPhone 15 Plus. But the major challenge here is I need to match my facial animation, especially the timing, to the body animations which I have already done. And the major challenge here is to keep my head straight because any extreme movements can actually ruin the face track, like what you see on screen. So it's not as easy as it looks. It takes a lot of time. Generally, people record body and facial animations at the same time using motion capture suite and a face camera rig. But I'm broke and I can't afford any of that, and this is my only way. Once the face tracking is done, I upload them onto Metahumans. I further tweaked all the facial animation data tracks inside Unreal Engine sequencer itself. After all the character animations, I animated all the assets. Bows, arrows, katanas, car, pistol, etc. I rigged them inside Blender. Then I imported them into Unreal Engine and created a control rig and animated them inside the sequencer itself. So this gives a lot of control. Some animations were done inside Blender and exported as LMX into Unreal Engine, like arrow slicing in half, which will be difficult to do in Unreal Engine. Once I'm happy with all the animations, I imported all the animations into Marvelous Designer and did the cloth simulations. Once all the simulations are done, I imported them as LMX into Unreal Engine. For the particle effects, I used Unreal Engine's Niagara system. Be it flying leaves, interactive leaves, debris, explosions, embers, impact smoke, dust waves, basically all VFX elements you see in the final short film. For the waving grass, waterfall, flying flags, birds, I used Unreal's World Push Offset technique. It is cheap yet very effective. For the fog, I used cloud cards. So after everything's set, I started adding cameras and animated them. Like I said before, I always stick to my storyboard for this. Then I added all the lights, and depending on the camera angle, I changed the lighting per shot, just like how they do in real movies. The major reason why I chose Unreal Engine for this project is because of its faster render times. However, because of my hardware limitations, I couldn't use ray tracing and all the fancy stuff, which basically makes things look hyper-realistic. So once everything's set, I rendered every shot as PNG sequences. As I did everything, including the particle effects inside Unreal Engine, I didn't do any further composting and straight up went for the final edit. I imported all the PNG sequences into Premiere Pro and edited the entire short film. Then I added sound effects using Soundly and Epimix sound libraries. For the voices of the Japanese character and Pound Kalyan sir, I used Railwan Labs AI speech-to-speech conversion.
Not fast enough, son.
For other characters, I used my voice and my friend's voice, and I recorded them on a $20 mic. The quality speaks for itself, huh? I have very minimal experience with sound design, and that is clearly evident in the final short film. That's basically my entire workflow. I faced a lot of challenges during this process, and if I share them all with you, this video will never end. The point of this short film is, if you want to tell a story, just go ahead and do it. Don't give yourself the excuses like I don't have a better computer, I don't have a better camera, or I don't have a better equipment, I don't have crew. No. Just do stuff with whatever you have access to. Before starting this short film, I asked Reddit that if something like this can be done on my computer with my specs, and most of them told me that it cannot be done, but here I am. So always trust your instinct and always remember, never the tool, always the artist.